Indeed, this modern microfluidic laboratory on a chip is evocative of information technologies. Just 5 years ago, someone using a DNA microarray could do, in one afternoon, the same number of experiments that would have taken about 40,000 people 15 years ago. Meanwhile, nanotechnology continues along its parallel and perhaps convergent path. Gene therapies are recently succeeding now, finally, after a few difficult starts, and are saving lives, and may mean that the destiny written in our genes is mutable. And stem cells are coming of age, actually replacing organs and saving lives today. Love this guy. Okay, so pretty much all mammals have a certain maximum amount of breath that they can breathe into their bodies per unit body weight before they die. Except this guy. That's a naked mole rat. Despite being about the size of a mouse, it lives about 10 times longer, 28 years. So there are a few people in the world studying these to figure out if there's something that we can borrow from them. Living 10 times longer would be awesome. Okay, so there are a lot of amazing advantages to the idea of lengthening human lifespans too. Right now, just as people are becoming wise, you look at our university professors, our great thinkers and writers, just as they're coming into this amazing zone where they become 60, 70 or so, they're just starting to produce and give their wisdom back to us, and then boom, they get Alzheimer's or they get a stroke or something, and that's all gone. It seems like a huge waste. If you could lengthen their lifespan, you could double their creative career, and they would keep growing in wisdom. If people weren't driving to work as fast as they could go, and they were just barely make the money they need to make their retirement, so they don't have to die in a less expensive hospital, they could be turning their attentions to calmer and more structured future thinking. More people looking for dangerous meteors so that we could have a higher likelihood of protecting our Earth and our species. And thinking about truly long-term sustainability, thinking about the planet that you would be living on a long time in the future, that you personally would be living on. So I like to think of our generation as having two very simplified options. Let's say you can continue along in business as usual, or you can put a bunch of resources into slowing the aging process. Now with option two, afterward we can do new stuff. With option one, unfortunately, we're dead. Of all the world, there are just a few people who are working on this aspect of biomedical research, and I think it would be wonderful if more people would recognize, and I'll explain to you in a moment why this would be a good idea for other reasons. In fact, the more people who we can bring together, who all share this vision, we can actually make a difference. And imagine being able to see your great-granddaughter get married, or imagine at that marriage you could say, "I love you forever," and actually mean it. So I'd love you for you to join us. So who are we? We are Health Extension. Here's our website, healthextension.co. We are a community extending healthy life beyond current limits. I'm super grateful to the dozens of people who've been contributing significantly on this project, and our immediate goal our humble goal is to enable technologically the world's first healthy, happy 123-year-old person. Now, Jean Calment, while she was the world record holder for oldest person at age 122, was not feeling very good. Our humble goal of the happy, healthy 123-year-old is has the vision of someone who feels much younger than that. For instance, this is a picture of Jean while she was 40 back in 1915. So our thesis is that aging is separate from disease. This double thing to it. Most fatal diseases result from aging. If you think about what people actually die from in general, Alzheimer's, heart disease, complications of type 2 diabetes, etc. And we are treating symptoms and not causes. Okay. For instance, look at cancer. It doesn't just steadily come along, it jumps up midlife. We're in the 50s or 60s, all of a sudden you start getting cancer. If it were the result of just random mutations or toxins in the environment, etc., then it would be just a constant cancer rate. People would be diagnosed as easily in the first 10 years as in a decade later in life. That's not. There is an invisible, subcellular, molecular process in place that's happening during these earlier years that is setting the stage for cancer popping up later. And we call that aging. Same is true for Alzheimer's, cardiovascular diseases, stroke, heart attack, and etc. For Parkinson's and type 2 diabetes, and sarcopenia, macular degeneration, and the list goes on, diseases that occur later. Why later? Aging. So if you look at healthcare funding, $2,500 billion or something that is breaking the back of our economy. It's putting us further in debt as a nation. Yet we spend on biological research only $60 billion. On the biology of aging, only $250 million. And actually applied biology of aging, a tiny fraction of that, an order of magnitude even lower. So let's think about this for a second. One of the most expensive things that our entire civilization is experiencing is the result of age-related diseases. And we're spending, in order to cure those, a tiny, tiny amount of money. And basically the reason this is that aging is not considered a disease. Therefore, if you try to approve a therapy for aging, you cannot. It is illegal. The FDA will not approve a therapy for something that is not considered a disease. Therefore, nobody will fund a therapy for aging. Therefore, people avoid working on this because people like money. So far, the amount of money that people spend trying to apply biology of aging is about 0.001% of healthcare spending. We would like to increase that by a factor of 1,000 to 1%, which we think is still really small in the grand scheme of things, considering what we're trying to do, which is save our nation from going further in debt and becoming no longer a number one nation as it continues to borrow and borrow. So, okay, what are we as an organization? One of our main offerings is every month we have a salon. About 100 people come. It's held at a startup accelerator nearby called the Y Combinator. And last month we had Professor Stuart Kim from Stanford, and he revealed publicly for the first time at our salon 2 brand new discoveries out of his lab. His postdoc, Kristen Fortney, discovered 2 mutations in the genomes of the 110-year-old and greater people who they studied, known as supercentenarians, that exist virtually exclusively in this extremely old population. Once they figure out the metabolic pathways that these mutations involve, then drugs can be developed that stimulate the same pathways, and that could allow you and me to enjoy the same squeaky clean arteries and clear cognition that these people do at 110 and older. Before that, we had Dr. Judith Campisi from the Buck Institute. She and her lab work on senescent cells. These are basically zombie cells in our bodies that accumulate more and more and more with age, and that there are cells that don't know how to die. They're supposed to die, they're heading toward death, and then somehow they get caught, like there's a bug in the system, in this zombie senescent state. And unfortunately, they secrete cytokines and various chemicals that stimulate inflammation in the regions where they are, and giving rise to a bunch of unpleasant age-related diseases, various cancers, muscle degeneration, et cetera, et cetera. So they have recently discovered a compound that lets these zombies go and lets them die and be cleared out of the body. And it is amazing to see the pictures in her slide presentation, which you can see on our website at healthextension.co from 2 months ago, or her talk. The difference between the animals that had this compound and did not versus the shriveled old ones and the really amazingly robust looking ones that had their senescent cells removed. So I'm really excited for the furtherance of that. She's taking that directly into a venture capital, or some people are, she's staying as a researcher, but some people are taking that and running with it in an entrepreneurial context. So I'm really excited and hope they get quickly to market. Before that, we had Dr. Oki O'Connor from the Sense Foundation, who detailed 3 different methods that they're working on to repair aging damage. His talk is on our site as well. Next week was our February salon, and we are super privileged to have Dr. Saul Valeda from the UCSF Broad Stem Cell Center come talk to us about his methods for making old brains young again. Regenerative medicine and artificial